Oh, good evening, everybody, and welcome to 60 minutes of Ben Heavy breathing down his new microphone. How is everyone doing on this very hot and sweaty evening? Well, it's hot and sweaty for some, not for others. If you're watching on the podcast, I just want to introduce you to my new best friend. This is Aircon, and he's here for tonight. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, you can hear a slight humming in the background. No, it's not Ben's and his razor as he's preparing to go out tonight. It's my air conditioning unit that I've nicked from our bedrooms. Don't tell Mrs. Ford if anybody's is watching live. I'll be honest with you, team. By the way, I've got FORDY juniors with me. Beth is here tonight. Big Al, Coach Al's in the house, and then young Ben's here. But I don't expect, to be honest with you, anybody to be listening to this because if it's just too hot. It's too hot to do anything. Don't you think, guys?
Yeah. Well, I've just literally come back from a 10K run, so I don't know what you're talking about. You've got to be out there.
Like me too. Oh, how'd you do that? Like, genuinely, I got slower and slower and slower, and I was just like, am I home yet? Am I home yet?
I'm sure we'll discuss that later when we talk about how to smash out a 10K or how not to do it in the heat. Probably is a better episode.
Beth, have you been running today? What's it like up in Carlisle? What's the old weather like up there?
It's proper hot.
Is it?
Hot, yeah.
What's that, about 10 degrees?
Double.
Maybe double it and a bit more. But no, it's been really nice. I've been off. So I've been in the garden, been with the chickens. Yeah.
So have you not been running with your
I have not been running. I'm actually a little bit injured, but I'm going to do park run tomorrow.
What do you mean a little bit injured?
It's a long story.
Well, listen, we've got 59 minutes. It's either that or Ben's heavy breathing. So it's...
well, I did like my half marathon. Amazing. PB. 5K. PB. Love it. Then I went to go and put some socks in a basket, and I like twinged my nerve in my back. So my sciatic nerve in my back. So yeah, they've just been struggling for a couple of weeks.
Socks in a basket, and you twinged whatever it was in your back.
I'm not much of a hero. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's.
I mean, I think your name is pretty apt. That's the sort of thing.
No, we're going to change her name now. We're going to call her Hayden Junior. I think. Let's just change this. Rename. Oh no. I don't have to do it. I'll figure that out while you're all getting on about something else a bit later. But yeah, so Hayden Jr. is here with a gammy back. Right, so tonight we are talking about smashing out 10Ks because this weekend is the Saucony, I think it's actually called the Saucony London 10K. I'm not really sure. 100%. Al, are you doing it, Sam? Are you volleying or what are you up to?
We'll be, I'm part of the volley crew, so I'll be there nice and early at 7 o'clock at Waterloo Place, ready to look after all your personal belongings.
Yeah, bag drop you guys want, aren't you?
Yeah, we're bag drop. So it gets confusing because we do so many volleys. Yeah, this week we're bag dropping. So
yeah, I was with
personal belongings are safe with us.
Who was I talking to? I was with on Wednesday nights, me and some of the ladies from London, from our sponsor Skechers, who sponsor this podcast. Big shout out to them. New running range is now available, by the way. Check out the Aerospark. So we went down to the Oxford Street store, which is pretty cool, which we usually do the Christmas run out. And they were there to try the new Aerospark running shoe, which they all loved. And we did we did a cracking route down to Buckingham Palace, Green Park, all around there. It was a really nice run. It's bloody hot, but it was a really nice run. Paigey was there, not really adding any value. But we had a really nice run. And they were telling me about the fact that you guys are on bags, because before you were on a water station, right?
It gets confusing because I think we volunteered at most of the 10Ks. So, yeah, I think we've probably...
Last year, you
most different roles.
Yeah, along the embankment last year.
Yeah, that was it. As we turned, wasn't it, Ben? Yeah. Up on the left-hand side.
Station. Yeah. So I think it's the first time we've done bag drop for this race. Yeah, but we are experienced bag droppers. That's the official term.
All right, here's a question to you all. What's the essential thing to go into your bags on race day, on a hot race day? What would you put? Beth, what would you put in if you had to run on Sunday a 10K, bloody hot? What would you put in your race day bag?
Probably either my Chili's bottle, because my Chili's bottle sticks to me like all the time. Or
what would you have in there though?
Well, either a protein shake or some cordial.
That'd go off. That would go off.
Oh, it wouldn't. No, it'd be all right. It's a Chili's bottle. It stays cold.
Okay, all right. Fair play. Fair play. Right, what else?
A good bit of, I like either a malt loaf
What?
Oh, I
This
like
is the
it.
most random bag I've
She's
ever
definitely
heard.
Hayden Jr.
You
This
need-
is definitely Hayden. Right, I'm changing this. Yeah, carry on.
Oh, I love a malt loaf.
Keep going.
I don't know. A good pair of sunglasses. You have to look good in those post-race photos, don't you?
Okay. I'm like, all this practical advice going out here. Right. Al, if you was doing a 10K, I know you'd have a change of t-shirt.
Well, that's where I was going to start. Fresh underpants for a start, because they're going to be a bit rank after.
Yeah.
I normally run commando, so it's not normally an
Oh,
issue. Too much information.
6
Yeah.
minutes in, brilliant.
yeah. Wasn't me.
So on a serious note, I always go and make sure I've got a plastic bag to put all my wet, sweaty stuff in.
Yeah, that's true.
So it doesn't contaminate everything else. So that's like one of the first things I'd pack. Fresh socks. I do like a nice, crisp, fresh pair of socks after a run. There's nothing better than kind of peeling off your wet sweaties, and if you've been in those carbon shoes and it all aches a little bit, nice, fresh socks, I think goes a treat.
Okay. Post race hydration or fuel or anything?
I'd probably
Or straight to the pub.
Well, I'd probably stick with a Coke or a Lucozade just to get me to the pub. So, and if the faster runners are already at the Weatherspoons and they post what table number we're at, then we can pre-order on the Weatherspoons app.
Weatherspoons app. Yeah. So that's a good point actually, because is it the Montague?
The Montague Pike, which is on Charing Cross Road, so it's just up from Trafalgar Square. So it is the FORDY Tavern. If you just say the FORDY Tavern to any policeman, they'll know where to direct you.
Ben. But yeah, I think didn't I see a post of Wilco's bite in the first round?
Possibly.
Yeah, apparently he's bite Wilco's. But Ben, what would you go? And it would be a plastic annoying bag because
I'd make sure it kind of routes as much as possible.
Yeah.
I like the chili. I've just seen Beth's new name.
I've just realised I've not got the chat box up. Hold tight. There we go. Sorry, guys. There we go.
I would go similar with Beth. I like the chili bottle idea. I've just seen mine in the cupboard, so I'm going to get that out because it keeps your drink cold. It's a great idea. I'm going to go something for pre-race that you'd need to put in there is sun cream.
Okay.
You do need to put that in there. And I'd probably actually have a bag of salted crisps for afterwards.
Right.
I'd keep it and a chain like a vest.
If I
and
click
some wet wipes.
So I was just clicking something that might have stopped the podcast, but don't worry about it. We've got way over here. I wasn't listening. That's interesting. So basically, change your clothes, something else. I tell you what I'm going to be putting in. Wait there, because I just realised. My kids aren't impressed with these, but look at these bad boys. These are my Crocs. Look at them. This is a hero move. These are going to Mallorca with me.
We can't see them.
You need to describe them to the listener.
They're camo Crocs. First pair of Crocs. Basically, Daisy's got a pair of Crocs. And I thought, oh, cheeky. So I got myself a camo pair, as you'd expect. Now I look like an absolute legend, and I wear them everywhere. I
think you should race in them.
Huh?
I think you should race in them.
Well, this is what Tobe said to me at the Wear 10s. He said to me, why don't you, if you race in them, I'll run with you. And I was like, nah, that ain't happening. Okay, actually, just remind me something. Actually, not you. Somebody in the comments just reminded me of something, because we've got somebody listening in from Prescott, Arizona, which I just love, as I've told everybody before. But Claire Myford was club on Tuesday in Hartford, and she was telling me a story that she did. Ben, you'll have to correct me. Was it Vancouver Marathon that she just did?
She did indeed. Yep.
She was doing the Vancouver Marathon. Big shout out, Claire. And while she was doing that, a lady came up to her from Canada and said how much she enjoys 40 runs and all that sort of stuff. So I just wanted to share that with you, that it's mad that this is listened to in places like Canada. Obviously, we've got Prescott, Arizona here. But yeah, so I don't know if that lady's still listening. Thank you very much for all the kind things you said about me, but about 40 runs as well. So I just wanted to give her a shout out. I just thought it was a really nice story that Claire told me. I won't tell you exactly what she said, but yeah, it was a really, really nice. Please don't wear Crocs with socks. You'll have to wait. Is Darren there on Sunday? Because if it is Darren, I may wear them just to annoy you. Sorry about that. But yeah, so that was a nice story, which has totally caught me off guard. So thanks for that. Next question, Al. As somebody qualified to talk about it, how good, right? Because I started doing something this week. How good do you think like doing the boxing bag and bit of boxing is good for runners?
Never really thought about it, to be honest. It's not something I've. Well, no, I have done it once or twice, but I've never factored it into a formal training session. It's certainly going to work your cardio. It's going to be a hit, and actually, there's a fair bit of resistance training going in there as well. So upper body, I think a lot of us neglect our upper body.
Why you couldn't move afterwards?
Is it? Did he kind of overdo it?
Oh, I'll give you full.
Basically, moaning.
I'll blow by blow, but I was interested in your input. So you think it's quite good, do you?
I think it's probably got a role. I'd be careful that you choose as your sparring partner because that could all go horribly wrong.
Yeah, not Fletch.
So stick to the bags.
Yeah, Big Fletch. Actually, I want to give a shout out to Big Fletch. Big Fletch, thinking of you, son. But yeah, carry on. Sorry, Al.
And I think it's about make sure it's in balance, isn't it? If you get super pumped and all you ever do is go and take your aggression out on the bag, what else are you forgetting to do? What else are you foregoing in your training? So, like most things when it comes to training, it's about getting the right balance.
Young Hayden, what do you do for cross training? And you can't count park run because I know everything you do revolves around park run, which is a compliment, by the way. But what would you do in terms of cross training when you're not injured from putting socks in laundry?
I love a bit of swimming, so I've been swimming today. So yeah, I'd love a bit of swimming, a bit of front crawl. It kind of feels very different to running, like uses your arms a bit more. And I do a bit in the gym. So I have a PT that I go to every other week, and I don't do boxing, but those slam balls, they're good for like taking energy. So like that, is it a big like medicine ball type thing? You lift it above your head and you like slam it to the ground.
Is that High Rocks thing that I've got to do?
Oh,
no, they're kind of in reverse. Yeah,
balls, but yeah, it's the reverse.
In the reverse of what that.
You'd throwing it down rather than throwing it up.
Balls.
Do I?
It would channel your inner rage at the gym.
Really? I think the boxing's doing that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I have to say, I was absolutely ruined out after it. And I think I had DOMs till Thursday. Because I went, as you'd expect, I proper went for it. But I really enjoyed it. And because I was, it sounds nuts, but because I was bouncing around, I was up on my toes. I felt like I was working my calves. I was working my core as well. As you say, it was a bit of cardio. I was absolutely ruined after 3 minutes. I was doing 3 minutes and then 1 minute break. And I was genuinely ruined after those 3 minutes. But I just felt like it was not like it was a bit like plyo in a way. The fact that I was doing like, you know what I mean, from one leg to the other, bouncing about. I was up on my toes. So I was engaging all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it just felt like a bit of a full body workout. I went in there really because it was. I actually went in there to do calf raises, and then I saw it and I thought I'm going to give you some.
That's a bit of a jump. Calf raises to boxing.
Yeah, no, it was. And then I thought to myself, this is actually quite good for me. And then on whatever day it was the next day, I was like, that was a very good idea. That wasn't because I'm absolutely broken.
And the day after.
Yeah, and the day after. And the day after that. But I really enjoyed it. And I was just wondering if anybody else does it.
So there are a number of gyms that do something similar. So David Lloyd Club does something called Blaze. And a lot of local authority gyms do something called Box 10, which is, in effect, having a series of workout stations where you go from a boxing exercise for a minute or 90 seconds, and then you do a functional exercise like some squats or lunges, and then you go back and do another 90 seconds doing the boxing, and then you'll go to another, you might plank, and that's becoming quite popular because from a gym's point of view, they can get 10 or 12 people into a relatively small space and keep you working because you're in effect just rotating around the bags and then the functional exercises. And you're right, it is a really intense full body workout.
I'd already done 10 minutes on the bike, 5 minutes on the row, and then I'd done some like upper body stuff. I was trying to leave my legs alone because I'd done a bit of running over the weekend. So I was trying to leave my legs alone. So that's why I went in. I thought I better do some calf raises because otherwise the physio would give me a bollocking on Thursday. Although I smashed them, you're welcome, when I did go in there. But yeah, and then I just found across it, and I was just wondering. I was going to ask you whether it was any good or not, but I think I'm going to continue it because I quite enjoyed it actually.
That's the key thing. If you enjoy it, you're going to keep going back, and if you keep going back, you're going to get consistent. So I would say, don't stress too much about whether it's right or wrong. If you enjoy it, that's the biggest thing for me.
And yeah, mate, you're right on that. And I think that's probably a message for anybody, whatever it is in the gym that gets you in there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, whether it's that step thing that I just don't understand why people do that. You know, that you've seen them do that step
Stair
climbing.
walker. Yeah,
oh,
step.
Jesus Christ. Honestly, I'd
like
rather
that.
go around Ben's and have dinner with him. Do you know what I mean? It's awful. It really is awful. But whatever rocks your boat, do you know what I mean? It's like, is there anything in the gym, Hayden, that you don't like?
Oh, you're talking to me, aren't you?
Yeah.
What do I not like? I don't like that stair thing. There's that weird treadmill-y thing. It's not a treadmill. It's like, is it called a skill mill? Don't know. It's like,
Is that almost the self-powered
yeah,
one? Yeah.
I don't see the point of that. Like, if you want to run on a treadmill. Like, it's just weird. It's like curved. I don't like
it's
that.
to give you the kind of the vibe of running outside almost.
Yeah,
What?
just, yeah.
What, curved? What?
So
That makes
Yeah.
no
curved,
sense.
so it gives
It's
like
a curved
you-
track that you
Yeah.
propel. It
Yeah.
doesn't have a
no,
motor.
I know what you mean now.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Doesn't
I
have a
missed
I
motor.
don't like that.
She don't
basically.
like it. She don't like
No.
it. Moving on. Well, actually, I was going to move on to our 10K bits and bobs because we've got quite a bit to get through. Because we're going to talk about some sort of insights, and then I wanted to talk about actually some race strategies for Ben for Saturday, Sunday, because he's got to run a PB in 50 degrees heat. But talking of the heat, Ben Smith is asking any tips for running in heat. I think we've done about 1 million podcasts on this, but what I would say is let's get one from each of you and see if we can help somewhere. And maybe, yeah, Ben, I mean, you just, did you go out for a run or did you eat ice cream? I can't remember what you said.
I went out for a 10-miler.
Okay.
Tip, yeah, no, I don't know why. Tip on this, I think, is listen to your body in it, and it, you know, you don't need to be a hero. You just got I was, as I said, kind of at the start, I was gradually slowing down, and that was fine. My body was just saying this is too hot to be pushing. So that's my tip.
Al?
Building on what Ben says, cover your watch up. Don't get sucked into looking at the watch and worrying about your pace. If you don't have that distraction, you're more likely to do what Ben says, which is then listen to your body. You know, that's why as coaches we often talk about perceived effort, but when you've got the distraction of Strava or Garmin or whatever beeping at you, it's too easy to get sucked into it, and then that's when you can do yourself, you know, damage in this heat. Just take it easy, take the foot off the gas a bit. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the sun.
Yeah,
longer you're out there, the better your tan will be.
100%. What about you, Hayden?
I think plan your route carefully.
Oh.
So I know we're looking at like satellite routes, for example, when it was absolutely scorching yesterday in Cumbria temperatures.
Relative.
I like this you're saying. Really.
We went through more tree-lined areas to make sure it was shaded. So I think it's important in planning. Like, don't go in a random field and like have the sun blazing on you. Just be careful.
I've just adjusted the air conditioning, so it's now going across my back. It's beautiful. I would say two things. Firstly, just because it's on a plan doesn't mean you have to do it. So your coaching app or what your coach has written you or whatever you're following, if you're following something, may say, you've got to run 18 miles today. You don't. All right. So just as Al was talking about perceived effort, yeah, you don't need to be doing what's on the plan. Let's be sensible, people. Let's not be stupid. And the other things for the boys, not the girls, this is for the boys, don't be afraid to take your top off. Be like me, be like absolute hero. Because otherwise, I overheat. Ben, you remember, I genuinely overheat, and I come up with all these hives and that. Look, don't worry about what you look like. As long as you're not upsetting anybody by taking your top off. Don't be afraid to do it if you're overheating and stuff like that. That's just something from my side because I genuinely suffer from that. Ben can tell you hand on heart, but don't be don't worry about it. You'll never see him again anyway. So don't worry about it. I know it's not pleasant for some people maybe to see that, but at the same time, don't overheat and things like that. Yeah, don't be a hero. Okay, right. So let's move on to some. I hate the word tips. I mean, I really hate the word tips. Insightful pieces of advice like that. in terms of the 10K. So we're all doing a 10K race this weekend. Just imagine. Okay. So we're going to go through some of this stuff. I've got 5 little things to go through. And then I really want to get into the strategies of a 10K race. Okay. Because I think that's where we can, well, I'd say loosely add some value because we don't tend to do much of that. Benny, you're right. You look like you can fall asleep. Are you going to go out for dinner later when you're like falling asleep in your chair?
Well, it's because my aircon's on Cooper and not me.
You need a Monster. Go and get yourself a Monster. A Lando one. Go and get one of them. That'll sort you right out, son. Okay. So the first thing I was thinking about for the 10K, and again, we are going to come on to strategy. All right. So, but it's to dial in whatever strategy you've got early. There's no point going out and doing the total opposite of what you thought you was going to do, unless there's obviously a reason for it. So even though it's hot this weekend, yeah, adapt whatever you was going to do for that heat, yeah, and then make sure you do that from the start. Does that make any sense, Al?
Yes, of course.
There's no point if you're racing or running a 10K not knowing what you should be doing in the first kilometre, because then that's how you get yourself into trouble, to be honest with you, especially when it's hot. You need to think to yourself, right, I'm going to do this, and this. You want to be finishing strong, not absolutely ruined, like laid out. That's a stupid thing to do. So just think about it now, ahead of the weekend, because remember, we're all running 10Ks at the weekend. I want you to think about knowing your strategy. Again, we'll talk about strategy in a minute before you go out. Okay, Ben, your strategy is what for Sunday?
Run.
Oh, honestly, you're adding no value. Whoever's the house you're going around for dinner, I'm going to ring them and say, don't invite him round. He's just
what's my strategy for Sunday? So, what did we say? 6?
What did we say?
I think you just put it into pace, bro. 6:05 miles. I think I just need to convert it into kilometers. But I mean, for 10K strategy wise, I like to go fairly consistent.
Yeah, so, we're going to come on to strategy.
Yeah.
But you have what I wanted to see was that you had a strategy locked in.
I do have a strategy.
Hayden, what about you in terms of getting this right on race day?
I don't like pressure. I hate having a strategy.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's no pressure here. But what I'm trying to say is, knowing what you've got to do,
yeah,
whether that's to go out and have some fun. So I'm not going to go any faster than this. I'm not going to let my heart rate go above that. I'm not going. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's both sides. It's not about racing it. I'm trying to get at. I'm just trying to say is dial in whatever you're going to do from the minute you start. That makes sense?
Yep. Message understood.
There you go. Okay. Moving on for the 10K. Understanding, so we've done the start, is understanding that middle part of it. Because I think the middle part of the 10K is the worst. Some people say it's the end and all that, but I think it's actually the worst bit. Because that's where that mental battle comes in on the 10K. If you, and I'm talking about now, maybe, you know, if you are sort of pushing on a bit.
You're going for it, yeah. 5 to 8K is that.
Yeah. It's always a bit naughty, isn't it? You get through that, done 5K and you're sort of, oh shit, 7K, I'm ruined here. So it's that point of, I think, knowing it's coming. Al, any thoughts on that?
I think one way to tackle that is, and I know this is going to sound daft, know your route, know your milestones if you're running around London, know where the bits where you might get some recovery because you're at a water station, or you know, particularly in this weather, you know, are there going to be some bits that are going to be shaded? So just think about, you know, and sometimes those milestones just might help you kind of get through those tricky kilometers.
Do you find, Bev, do you find yourself fading a little bit in a 10K?
Yeah. And I think
no, not Ben. Sorry, I should have said Hayden.
You didn't call her Hayden.
I know. It's my fault. You know. Sorry, Hayden, with your bad back.
Yeah.
Do you? Honestly, he's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. But do you seriously? Do you tend to fade, or are you somebody who's all right in there?
I tend to fade because the first 5K, you're very much like, oh, this is all right. I can do this. And then you get to 5K and you think, oh, I've got to do this all again. And I think it's that mentality. And a lot of the time, your mind feeds your body. So as soon as I mentally check out, my legs then check out. So I think for me, it's as much of a mental battle as it is like a physical battle.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah,
it's staying mentally engaged, isn't it, in what's going on, like Al said, whether that's using visual targets or, I don't know, picking somebody off in front and like, all right, I'm going to take you down, whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, or making a decision. I'm just going to ease out of this, and I'm just then going to do this to get to the finish. Whatever it is, again, there's no right or wrong thing here, but it is that middle section is where most runners do tend to lose focus or fade.
So one thing I do quite a lot is between us, we've probably run hundreds, if not thousands, of 10Ks in training, and we've probably done it on 2 or 3 routes because we are creatures of habit. So when I'm running a race or on a course I don't know, and I'm not had a chance to familiarise because I don't read my race pack like most people, I then start to kind of overlay today's race with all those training runs where I have got milestones, where I know I turn at the forest and I've got 3 miles to go. At the bottom of the golf course is 1.5 miles. At the top of the golf course, I've got 1 kilometre to go. And so I'm visually looking for the markers on course and then putting myself into that position on all those runs I've smashed time and time again. And again, I think it is just tricking your brain into going, you've done this, you've run down from the golf course 1 million times, so you can do this. It's just repeating. And it is that kind of, in a weird way, that muscle memory that can get you through on race day when you've got everything else, all that other noise of the race environment kind of playing out in your head and in your legs.
One thing I would say, which brings on onto the next bit, is also, I think we're all guilty of this, but it is in that middle section is to try and focus a little bit on your running economy. It's that point at which 7K and you probably look at yourself and you're slumped over, looking at the ground. I mean, Ben's got the worst running economy in the world anyway. But,
I've got that at 1K.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Your form's probably starting to go out the window a little bit. And it's that point where, where you can start thinking about maybe, I don't know, I've done it before where I've made sure my shoulders are back and I am looking up. I've tried to lengthen my stride a bit sometimes to try and kick myself, especially if I'm going for it. I've tried to lengthen my stride a little bit, get a bit more bouncy on my toes, that kind of thing, increase my turnover a little bit in that section of the race, to really try and sort of wake myself back up again and say, right, but more importantly, just to try and build some efficiencies when I am starting to fade into my body, because all that weight in your head starts looking at the ground, everything starts, just your hips start to go backwards. It all becomes a little bit wild. And it can become a little bit sluggish towards the end. And you're actually using up a lot of energy with your basically crap running form. You want to be efficient. So little things like that. And that sounds nuts, but running past like we will be in London, you might be able to see your form in the, I don't know, in the shop window or whatever. Or you may notice somebody else slumped over. Think to yourself when you see them slumped over, oh, shit, am I doing that? And maybe that was the correction you need, just to lift yourself up a little bit, and it will just help you re-engage you what you're doing. Al, you got any thoughts on that?
No, I think that's really good in terms of just do that mental check, isn't it? In terms of lift your head, imagine the balloon, pull yourself up through, pull your shoulders back, think about your hip position, think about your foot position. By the time you've done that, you've probably covered another half.
I was going to say, pretty much there, aren't you?
Nearly at the finish now.
Yeah, you're almost done, almost in Westminster. Hayden, do you use sort of mental cues to sort of break the race down? So like you're sort of ticking off boxes as you or ticking off bits as you go. So not like necessarily like distances, but like opening phase.
Yeah.
Settle in, then like sort of build, right? I'm going to build in this part and then I'm going to attack the front, or I'm going to back off. Do you do that?
In a wishy-washy way. So like the first part's always quite nice because I'm like just getting settled, like you find your place, and I never try and like push too hard on the first bit because I know I'll just like die at the end of it. So it's just settling in, and then that middle portion for me is like it's that mentally tough bit, but kind of just one foot in front of the other, and kind of like what I was saying, you've done it 1 million times before, so you just kind of you keep going. And for me, it's rather than looking at like kilometer markers, because I work in miles, I don't do any of this kilometer luck.
I might have to change it back from Hayden to me.
So like, because I work in miles, it's only like 6 miles rather than 10 kilometers. So I only have to count to 6 rather than counting to 10. So that's what gets me through that middle little bit. So I can say like 3, 4, 5, and then once you're at 5, last mile, last 7, 8 minutes.
Last push.
Home.
Last push.
Yeah.
I like that. 7, 8 minutes. I like that, hero. Ben, do you use like mantras and things like that to talk to yourself when you're because you're somebody? This is sickening to say, but somebody who I admire for their mental toughness. Right, he is brilliant with his mental toughness. To give him credit, which is so annoying that I have to do that, but he is. If I could take anything from him, other than his speed, but no, it's his mental toughness, his ability just to go out there and dig deep when it's hurting. Is there some sort of like mantra, or do you give yourself a talking to? How do you get into that sort of zone when it's getting tough?
I think for me, I'm kind of really focused on the time. If I'm going for a time, that is my kind of focus, and I'm looking, and it's almost that kind of stubbornness. That's where that mental toughness comes from. I mean, you've broken me a few times, which I needed, and kind of it was fun ish. But it is literally like that from the strategy perspective of I'll have my times there, and I'll be and I'm constantly, and this is not so much in the 10K, but for longer distance races, I'm constantly kind of doing maths in my head of, oh right, okay, so I'm 10 seconds ahead now, so that means in an hour's time, and kind of working out what time I'm going to finish and stuff like that. So I'm distracting myself from the pain almost of kind of getting through that middle phase by trying to think about other things. And as you said, like the form is a really good example. We did what was it, Broad Oak, and those hills. But it was kind of at that point where in my head I'm like, right, I just need to walk through this. But that's probably a real where I had to have a real talking to myself and just go get on with it.
You gave yourself a talking to.
Yeah. And that thing of you've done this hundreds of times. Like, why you don't need to walk? Just slow down if you need to.
Yeah, makes sense. Sivia Bala, thank you very much. We're going to answer your question. We'll come on to that. We'll do a little section on that just after this. But thank you for the super chat. I think the last thing in terms of things for the 10K before we get onto the strat, well, we'll do it after answering that question. But I think there's a few little things that on a 10K that if you get right can make a big difference. First thing I thought of was warm up for the 10K, so you're not going out there cold. If you are going to be going for it, you know what I mean. You want a decent warm up. Is there anything that comes to your mind, Hayden, when just like the little things that if you can get them right may help on race day?
I think for me there's a couple of things. One, I always like a weekend around my 10Ks. So like if we go away from like Cumbria, so if we go to like one in London or in York or in Chester, for example, we'll go on like the Friday, do the parkrun on the Saturday, and then on the Saturday we can like walk a bit of the route, so we know where we're going. So it gets it in your head. So once it's in your head, then you can go on the Sunday kind of quite calm, and then when you arrive, do what you'd normally do. So don't do anything different on race day. So get to the start, like go drop your bag off, warm up, do whatever you need to do, and get into that like pod, if it's like podded or corals or whatever you call it, early. So then you're in the right place, you have enough space, because the worst thing is getting in there last and then being like stuck on the outside and having to jump a barrier to get in. So yeah, get in there early, and then you're in the right headspace and you can kind of take part in the warm up and set off like in a good frame of mind.
I get it. So you're just sort of chilled out.
Yeah, I guess it's just doing what you'd normally do and being there in plenty of time, and that makes a world of difference for me. Like, so I'm not all flustered.
Yeah, that makes sense. Al, what about you? Is there any little things?
I think it's so easy to not do this, but run your own race. You know, when you're in a big race like the London 10Ks, the corrals will be busy, despite the organisers' best efforts to get people matched up with the similar paces.
Yeah.
Inevitably, some get there early, some get there late, all gets mixed up. And you go off and you see some people shooting past you, and your temptation is to kind of go, oh, I've got to keep up with these guys. No, you don't know what their strategy is.
Yeah.
You don't know what their approach is. Just run your race, because if you go off too soon, we all know there's the risk of blowing up. But if you go off a bit too slow, then you're not giving yourself much time to make good. So just have that plan, as we've talked about, and try and execute it, particularly in those first couple of Ks when the adrenaline and everything else is going around you. It's very easy to get off plan, get off track, and then your head's spinning. What am I? I might be 25 seconds ahead of pace, but am I going to pay for that later? Or I'm 25 seconds behind. How am I going to cover that in the next 5K? Because then once your brain is whizzing, then that's kind of when you're setting yourself up for failure in those last 3K.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's not about taking it easy. I'm not saying go slow. Just have that plan and stick to your plan, and let people around you do whatever they need to do. Have confidence in what your ability is.
Ben, what about you? One thing, because I want to get onto that question.
Mine's a kind of combination. I think it's having that plan, but planning for that particular race. You'll do some 10Ks where you will go out and you can just get into your rhythm straight away. You'll go to the London 10K on Sunday, and as Al said, there will be people you will invariably need to weave and do that. So you need to plan for the race that you're running. If what you don't want to do is if you've got this plan and it's kind of thrown out in the first kilometer, you then spend the rest of the race, as you say, trying to catch up and things like that. So make sure that plan is for the specific race as opposed to just necessarily the distance, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Right, team, that was useful. Thank you for that. We're going to take a break from the 10K because we are going to answer Sylvia Bard. Apologies if I pronounced that wrong with the super chat, with a good question, actually. Let me just get rid of that, and because then we're going to come on to 10K strategies. So the question is, having failed the ballot, the London ballot, should I apply for multiple charities for a chance of a London 2026 bib? What's the best strategy? Has anybody applied for charity places or going down that route? Has anybody done that? Hands up. No.
Okay. I've got a bid in for a charity bib this year. I'm waiting to hear.
You're waiting to hear. So I've got myself. I've taken a charity bib again. I've run the London Marathon every year with a charity bib, and I'll be back there in 2026 with a charity. So how's that process? What was that process like, Al? Was there a specific reason, or was it you went for a charity, or was it literally they had a spot?
No. So, and I think this is part of the answer to Silva's question, is I have deliberately chosen a charity that means something to me, and it means something to our community.
Yeah.
Because running the race is hard enough, doing the training is hard. Actually, those of us that have done charity bibs before know it's quite demanding and quite a mentally tough thing to put yourself through 6 months of fundraising. And therefore, for me, choosing a charity where I believe in it and I know I'm going to be able to commit to, I think is really key. Because you're going to have, just like any training plan, you're going to have good days, bad days. You're going to have good months, bad months when it comes to fundraising. You're going to question why you're doing it. You're going to worry about whether you're going to get there to hit your target. And if that cause really means something to you, then that's going to help you get through that process. And obviously, if I am successful and I am lucky, then the community will find out a little bit about what my plans are.
Sure.
So fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But do you think there's like is there a strategy to be had for applying for multiple charities? Ben, do you think that's, I don't know.
I think like Al said, there's a real, depending if part of it is whether you've run the marathon before, right? I think there's an element of you can go out to your friends and stuff like that for fundraising, which is great, and everyone gets on board. But if it's not necessarily a charity that means something to you and you run multiple marathons, actually, so people will be like, okay, what questioning maybe motivation. So I think to Al's point, it is about would you go for multiple charities? I don't think so. I think you've got you've got to go with the one that means something to you, and actually your commitment then to them should translate into your fundraising efforts as well. Whereas if you're kind of spreading that, you know, I know we're talking London, but Tokyo, you can only apply to, in their kind of process, you can only apply for one of the charities
That's interesting.
at a time. So, you know, from a London perspective, I think it would be, you know, for me, go for one charity that means something to you, and you're, you know, actually then, depending on the application process, if you've got to submit your reasoning, let's say, and why that cause means something to you. I think the thing is, the charities have so many applicants as well, because that's the route that people go down. So I think you, in your statement, almost in your application, you've got to come across in that of why you're running for it, as opposed to just, I want to run London. I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm just giving
yeah. No one's here to judge. Interesting. What about you, Hayden? Have you ever gone down this road?
I did for the Great North a previous year. So that was a half, but I did that for a charity again that was like close to my heart. And it meant that when I was fundraising, I was doing things not because I'm not one that just like asking for money. I like to do something for it. So I did loads of coffee mornings and all that kind of stuff. And that then meant that on the day, actually, you get a real buzz as well, because you're wearing their vest. You can you get like the sweets on the side of the road, whatever it is. And actually, there's a real nice community about it. But I think if I was to apply for like a London ballot as a charity, I would just be a one charity kind of girl as well. I think it's better to kind of streamline the efforts in one way. And if it isn't to be, it isn't to be this year.
Yeah, I think that's right. And taking away, I think, from everything that you've all said, I think the strategy, if there is a correct strategy, I think is to find a charity that you believe in, or as you feel like has made an impact in your life somehow, or somebody you know's life, or whatever. But there's a cause that you can relate to, and you feel you can put something into, because when you're right, as you say, writing that statement or writing that application, you hopefully your reasoning comes across genuinely. You know, otherwise you just go to chat. What's it called? What did we learn last week? What's it called?
Chat GPT.
Yeah, just smash something in there from there. Do you know what I mean? It's like whatever, thanks. So I think I think that helps with motivation as well. So I think the best strategy is to pick a charity that has some meaning, or you have some affection to, or there's something there that you can get hold of and do.
And that comes across then in your effort. I think that really does come across. You know, like Minnie Hayden said, that you know you're running those events and stuff like that.
Can I just say she's taller than Hayden?
I mean, that isn't everyone.
No, I was going to say. Sorry. Yeah, carry on.
But do you know what I mean? When you're then doing the event and you're able to talk, you're because you are an ambassador for the charity that you're running for. So actually, that then comes across when you are fundraising and all things like that. So I think that, as you said, is that strategy? That would be the strategy if we're calling it a strategy.
There we go. Just thanked us for answers. You're welcome, and thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. Right, so 10K strategies. Hayden, you're running a 10K on Saturday, right? And I'm going to give you 5 or 6 strategies. You'll have to pick one. Same with you, Ben. Same with you, Coach Al, right? I'm going to explain each one. So make notes, because I will be testing you on this, and you can play along at home. So, strategy number 1. She's actually writing this down.
I was just about to say she's actually taking notes.
Actually
I actually do.
It's a massive upgrade tonight.
Brilliant.
Negative split strategy. So run the second half faster than the first. It's as simple as that, basically, right? Conserves energy early, etc., etc. Right. Next one, even pace strategy. Maintain a consistent pace, start to finish. Okay, number 2. Third one, progressive build strategy. Gradually increase. So, like, whether it's every mile or 2K or whatever you want to do, right? Next one, a controlled start strategy. Does anyone know? Okay, so I'll explain it. Start at like 95% of your goal pace for the first 1 to 2K. So you're very controlled at the start, and then you basically let loose. So you just rein it in a fraction at the start, because otherwise you could do the opposite and you go off like your ass is on fire and all hell will break loose. Okay. The other one, hang on, I wrote it down. Where is it? Oh, you bugger. The sort of kilometre, mile by mile focus. So it's like a race within a race. So you're focused, dialed in on that section. Okay. So that's your target. So whatever that is, you can decide, write it on your wrist or whatever before you go out. And then you work it out. And then so you're racing each individual clip. So you may have decided you may go faster, slower, whatever. And then you might have a surge at the end. You might kick on at the end, 800 meters to go. You might, right, I'm going to go and have it. I don't know. Right. So whatever that is. So did you get all them down, Hayden?
I did.
Right. Okay. So you may, no, it's good you did because Ben's forgotten all of them. He's too busy thinking about what he's having for dinner now.
Literally.
Yeah, he's checked out. I can see his So you're racing, Hayden, you're racing the London Saucony 10K on Sunday. You and I are on the start line. We're in Wave A because we're absolute legends, right? We're about to start this bad boy off. What strategy are you going for? And why?
I would love to say that I'd do a controlled start, but I never would. I always like rock it off. So that's just out of the window.
Okay.
So I'm probably better even pace. I'm probably better steady all the way. Because if I say negative splits or like progressive build, I know I'll get to mile 6 and I'll just be like, no, not doing this. And then I'll feel like I've failed it. Okay. Whereas at least if I do even, you're kind of like, you're steady away. And then you can kick on at the end if you want to.
Very honest answer. Thank you very much. Well done, Hayden. It's nice having someone so honest and open about stuff, isn't it? About their height and things like that. Ben, I know your answer, so I'm going to wait till you to last. Coach Al.
Part of the answer, I think it depends on how you've trained. Because again, you don't want to be trying something out for the first time on race day. You know, just because we're saying don't change your shoes and don't change your routine, don't change your strategy. So whatever you're going to go for, practice it. I'd like to think progression would be the way I tackle it. I think I totally get what Beth is saying about steady. I think in some of the big races that can be quite hard because of that chaotic start and finding that even pace and kind of dialing into that early on. So for me, knowing that I've got a bit still in the tank for that progression would be how I'd like to handle it. I think there's a kind of point where you then have to go, can I maintain it? Can I keep going? And be realistic on the day in terms of, is that going to continue, or do I need to have a mid strategy change? Because we are listening to our body, we're worrying about the heat. So have a bit of a plan B.
Interesting. Right, Ben, tell them about negative splits.
I don't really negative split anymore. Not a 10K.
That's total bollocks. Every time you come out, you go, I'm going to negative split this. I'm going to negative split this. I always bet when I negative split it. If I don't negative split it, I don't do it. I messed up because I didn't negative split it. That's my impression of you, by the way.
I mean, it was very, very close.
Accurate, wasn't it?
But pretty much. Yeah, I mean, from a negative split perspective, my second 5K does tend to be a fraction quicker, but that's more because I've just sprint finished. I tend to go out a little bit too quick at the start. I like having my markers. It's a combination of that. In my head, I think I'm going to go out consistent, and I've got the, I'll pick markers of where I want to be. So I'll normally, for a 10K, I'd probably write down 1K, 2K, 5K, and 8K as this is where I want to be at that time. But it's really weird at 10K. I'm like Hayden in disguise there. I do run in miles. So when I do a 10K race, it throws me, and so I'm having to convert everything and do that. But I've turned into a bit more of a consistent, like just kind of pick a pace and try and stick with it. But it fluctuates slightly. But yeah, I used to negative split.
There we know.
I might have mentioned it once or.
It's an interesting point, actually. There's nothing random, as always. I wonder how many people like running miles, but then when it comes to a 10K, switch over to kilometers. I wonder if there's something people do. Like, so you only K and switch out.
I think I've been quite. I'm not sure if lucky is the right word. When I started off my running journey, my main training partner was German. And so we used to spend all our training runs converting each other from miles to kilometers and back again. So I wouldn't say I've got good, but I kind of can do the rough maths, and I've kind of had enough sub this and sub that where you get the equivalent numbers in your head. But what I do find is, and again, quite privileged and quite fortunate to have run quite a lot of races across the continent. If the race is a UK and it's measured in miles, I'll probably switch into a mile pace. If I'm running, we ran, across the bridge in Sweden, and everything was in a kilometre marker. So I then try and have it then in kilometres. So finding, because there's nothing worse than running the 10K, trying to run it in miles and seeing kilometre markers, and you're mid-race trying to do that mental maths. And if you haven't practiced it, you can get yourself in all sorts of trouble. Particularly when you think I should be running a 6-minute mile and you're running a 6-minute kilometre and vice versa.
Yeah, it's the other way around. Oh, sugar. I know what you mean. I think I've got to the point now, I think, where it's like I kind of can guess it. Like, we're lucky when the Hobbit runs with us because he's always in kilometres. So you can always ask him. But you kind of, I don't know, Ben, I kind of guess it now. And I kind of know, like 8-minute miles, 5-minute kilometres. Yeah. 750 is about 430-ish, roughly. I've got a rough idea of where I'm at. That tends to help a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that comes with practice. I don't know that I could have to see Wilco's comment where he switches to kilometres for the 10K races and then back to miles for training. I don't know if that would just mess with my head in terms of
I can do
for a race switching to a kilometre pace. And the other thing that's really challenging as well, I was going to say really, but for Sunday is obviously GPS, right? So whatever pace you're doing, you don't. I don't trust that pace, right? So it is literally that kind of thing of and I'm not saying that you need to do this, but have in your head of even if it's just 5K and but what sort of time you want to be crossing, whether you're having an easy race, where whatever you're doing, and if you're kind of trying to not go too quick, have that in your head, because your watch will be telling you, like Chicago.
It'd be lying.
Chicago, I did a 1-minute mile. I mean, that's brilliant. But so it will throw that out, and you just can't rely on what your watch is telling you. You've got to almost know how that pace feels, but also and kind of keep an eye on the pace would be something as well.
It's true. Actually, when we did that one in St Albans, I checked with you guys because it's on the video. I think it actually comes out this weekend. Right? But I checked with you guys. I said, right, what was our 5K time? Because that's basically what. So I'm measuring it based on that. So I know. I think you said, I can't remember. I think you said 22 and change. So I was like, right, we're on for under 45. That'll do. Thanks very much. Keep this pace. Keep the effort. Do you know what I mean? It's that sort of thing. So that helps. I think just to wrap that up. I think my side is the progressive. I like to run a progressive race. I try and get quicker. Usually, it takes me a while to settle, mainly because of anxiety, nerves, and just shit, basically, from all the other bollocks that we have to deal with. It takes me a little while to settle in, and I don't feel like until I've cleared a certain point. So in a 10K, I don't tend to settle till like 3 or 4K in. I won't settle in. I don't know. Just all the crowds and all the stuff and noise and things. It takes me a little while to settle in. And then once I settle in, I then get on it. And I'm usually stronger with the last 3K to go than I am the other way around. Benedict is run so many times, but I much prefer the progressive build strategy. That tends to work for me more than anything else. So yeah, I think if you're somebody who's a bit like me, try that. Right, team. I think that's it. We've managed somehow, and I God only knows. Firstly, to survive the heat, which is good news, mainly because of my best friend here, Aircon, who may come back next week. Just give it a rub. Is it next? No, not next week. We've got pre-record. No, it's the week after we got. Just as a bit of a heads up, not next week, the week after, we're going to be then hitting a couple of pre-records. So just so you all know, it might be the week after that because Ben's going on holiday. We've got some big news coming for the club, which is good news, which I can't tell you just at the minute, but we're going to be announcing something cool as well. So that's good news. I was on a call about that today. Actually, there's a couple of good bits coming from the club, which I can't tell you about, but just a heads up. So watch out for that. One announcement we'll probably be able to make soon. I was working on a cunning plan, which I think is one of the best things I've ever heard in my life. But I am exhausting all of my resource on it now because I'm just totally obsessed with it. So that'll be brilliant when that comes out. So watch out for Al's big idea coming your way soon.
Clear your diaries for 2026. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, basically, you're gonna be busy in 2026 and 2027. Sorry about that. But we can't tell you about that. We're just pre-warned, and I'll probably get on the mailing list ASAP. Don't forget, I think we've got 3 places left now at the Great North Run Shakeout. So just if you haven't signed up, tough shit, basically. It is what it is. We've got now too many people. But if you want to sign up, I may add a reserve list on there. Or if you can't get on it, drop me an email. Actually, do the hello at 40 runs one. If you can't get on that, because we're basically at capacity. So well done everybody who's done that. I had an email, somebody fretting about the cost of some stuff they've got to pay for, which is brilliant. Yeah, what else? There was something else I was going to tell you, but I can't remember for the life of me what the hell it was. But I'll tell you what I will say. It's got nothing to do with anything because I've just thought of it. This weekend, all the shoe sales start. I got an email while I was on air because basically I was bored of listening to Ben. And all the shoe sales are started. So if you're looking for new shoes, we've got an email coming out tomorrow about that as well. And there's a video dropping tomorrow as well about shoe bargains. But if you like your running shoes or you've been waiting for a pair, wait till the email tomorrow and watch the videos. There's some absolute bangers out there. So that's a bit of a heads up. But I've just seen the email come through. I think that's it, really. I think we've done well. Hayden, how would you rate tonight's? Because I'm trying to do this now because what's happened over the last few weeks, basically, the content level has dropped to an almost low. What we've done is basically talk about Halimi and Ben doing lines of creatine. That's by the way, did you take creatine?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
That's why she's not recovering quick enough.
No. If your back would be so much better if you was off your nut on creatine like Ben.
Really?
Yeah. I was going to ask Ben about how his little scoop has been. I've not seen him for a couple of weeks.
Ben,
so
how's your little scoop been going?
I mean, I've been investing. I did actually double check the pack to make sure that I'd read the instructions right, and it is on that one. It's 3.4 grams with a little scoop. I don't know what they're doing to me. Maybe I'm on the
you're happy with your little scoop
portion. I mean, I don't know if it's having much of an effect though. Maybe I need to upgrade the scoop.
Maybe you need to upgrade. Declan McCarthy's worried about my weight loss, Ben.
I mean, you are. Look at you sideways. You miss you. Especially in those camos.
Declan, on Sunday, if you're there, you might not see me because if I'm standing sideways talking to somebody, you won't know I'm there.
He's basically streamlined.
I'm just streamlined. I might even win the Soccer 10K. I've lost so much weight. I'm now that much faster. 15
You heard
minutes.
You heard it here first.
Can't. They put a heat warning out. I was going to go for it, but I was going to try and win it, but they put a heat warning out, so there's no point in me going for it, really, is there? No? Look at them all. On a serious point, and that's the way we're going to end the show, as always, on a serious point, Hayden, please all be bloody sensible this weekend. If your plan says 18 miles, sack it off, right? If you're doing the London Soccerning 10K, you don't need to be a hero, yeah? Let's not put on to the St. John's Ambulance heroes that we're going to be lying in the streets, yeah? We don't need to give them extra work, all right? If you can run another day, run another day. All right. If you can get out early, get out early. If you go out late, go out late. You know, you wouldn't take your dog out in the heat, so why would you go out and run in it? Do you know what I mean? This is the way you got to think about it. All right. So we don't need to be heroes this weekend, people. We need to be sensible. We need to stay in with our friends called Aircon. Yeah. That's the key to this weekend is survival. And I think it's going to be hot again next week. So please, whatever you do, I know preaching to convert, but please be sensible this weekend. There's no point being an absolute idiot. Okay, team. Have I forgotten anything? Hayden, have I forgotten anything?
No.
Did you enjoy being on the show again?
Loved it.
We loved having you. We loved having you. Thank you very much for coming back on. Al, anything to add from your side?
There's still an opportunity to turn up tomorrow at Ben's Yard Parkrun, just outside Ely, for our attempt at breaking the world record for the most bends ever to run at a parkrun. Now, you probably don't know this, but we've got at least 43 bends. in our Facebook community because I've tagged them all previously and invited them. I'm not expecting all of them to turn up. And we have had a few no-shows declare, but we have a cunning plan. So we still hope to break the world record tomorrow.
Well, you can all change your name by Depot tonight.
Shh, don't give the game away. I'm not declaring any more. But look out on the socials tomorrow.
What's the record to beat?
I don't know. But we're just going to beat it, whatever.
He's going to beat it, whatever. What a hero. Ben, I'm dragging this out because I know this is making you late for your dinner.
It's all right. I said 8:30ish. It's fine.
Oh shit, that was my cunning plan ruined.
Because I know you remember.
I shall see everybody on Sunday, although you may not see me. See what I did there, Ben. And that's it. Have fun, be safe, and we shall see you all later.